Welcome to the next part of our series on guaranteed and viable curriculum. In this edition, we'll take a closer look at what viability means within curriculum and how it shows up in daily practice. Our goal is to ensure that every student has access to meaningful, high-quality learning every day in every learning environment. This session will focus on viability and how viability strengthens planning and instruction. As described in other parts of this series, guaranteed curriculum refers to opportunities for students to learn the intended curriculum. A guaranteed curriculum ensures that all students, regardless of their teacher, program, or pathway, receives access to the same essential learning. Essential standards are clear, aligned, and agreed upon. Every student has the opportunity to learn the critical content for present-day success as well as their future learning. Viability is the partner to guaranteed curriculum. A curriculum is viable when there is enough time to learn what is essential. This means our plans fit within the instructional year. We prioritize the essential standards and create realistic pacing that builds in time to teach, assess, reteach, and extend. Educators achieve implementing a guaranteed and viable curriculum by studying the state standards collectively, agreeing on priorities within the standards, clarifying how the curriculum translates into specific student knowledge to identify learning targets, establish what proficiency looks like for each of the skills, establishing guidelines for pacing, and committing to teach the agreed upon curriculum. Viability does not happen by accident, but rather is the result of thoughtful planning, making time for what matters most and building opportunities for students to master concepts. Planning for viability begins before instruction starts. Educators collaborate to unpack the essential standards, align materials, and map out a realistic plan for learning. This work allows us to maintain focus on what students really need, rather than providing the same weight to all learning experiences. When we think about planning for viability, it helps to imagine a beaker. If we fill the beaker with sand, gravel, and small stones, maybe shells first, there's no room for the big rocks, the things that matter the most. We can think about curriculum the same way. If we try to apply the same weight to every single standard, we'll end up overcrowding the year. We run out of time. Students get a surface level exposure instead of deep, meaningful learning. But when we start with the big rocks or our essential standards, everything fits a little bit differently. We build the year around what is most important for readiness and long-term growth. The remaining time is where we layer in those supporting standards, the enrichment, and the nice-to-have opportunities. To support this work, educators rely on tools to ensure that the intended curriculum is viable. We have textbooks and learning materials which are aligned to the standards and provide structured pathways for teaching and learning. Essential standards identify what the most important learning targets are for that grade level. We unwrap the standards, which translates the standards into clear learning targets, skills, and success criteria for students. And then we use common formative assessments to help us monitor student progress in real time, allowing for adjustments to the pacing to support student learning. Pacing is where viability becomes visible. A viable curriculum requires pacing guides that match the actual instructional calendar. It also means we incorporate time for reteaching and extension as a planned part of the learning cycle. Pacing is not about going fast. It's about ensuring that all students have the time they need to reach mastery. Guaranteed and viable curriculum shows up through the choices that vision educators make every day. When we prioritize essential learning, plan instructional time, and align our tools and practices, learning experiences are created that every student can count on. A guaranteed and viable curriculum isn't a document. It's a commitment to intentional planning by educators for all students. As we move forward, educators continue to collaborate, refine practices, and support professional learning teams to create learning environments where every student has the time and opportunity to succeed.